They tell you that you are lonely. They tell you that you are a tragedy waiting to happen because you sit in a quiet house with no one to manage but yourself. But let us be honest for a moment. They are not afraid that you are lonely. They are afraid of your freedom. Society looks at a man in his 60s who has opted out of the dating game and they see a glitch in the matrix. They see a man who has stopped paying the invisible tax that keeps the gears of social expectation turning. Every time a family member asks why you are not putting yourself back out there, they are not asking out of concern for your happiness. They asking because your contentment in solitude is a direct indictment of the cages they are still living in. If you can be happy, stable, and fulfilled without the constant management of a partner's internal weather, then what does that say about the compromises they make every single day? Your peace is not a lack of connection. Your peace is a hard-won victory. And today, we are going to do the math that the world hopes you never calculate. We are going to look at the lie of loneliness and replace it with the truth of ownership. Why does the world need you to be in a relationship? Think about the structure of our modern lives. A man who is single and satisfied is a man who cannot be easily controlled. You are not buying jewelry to settle an argument. You are not funding expensive vacations to prove your love to someone who is never quite satisfied. You are not paying for a larger house than you need just to accommodate the aesthetic preferences of a partner. A single man with a clear head is a dangerous variable in a consumerist society. You have reclaimed your most valuable resource, your attention. When you were younger, you were driven by biology to seek partnership at any cost. You ignored the red flags because the chemistry in your brain told you that being alone was the ultimate failure. But now, the fog has lifted. Your family feels uncomfortable because your choice forces them to look at their own choices. The married men you know are often the loudest voices telling you to find someone. Have you ever noticed how exhausted they look while they say it? They are walking on eggshells in their own kitchens, managing moods they didn't create, and they want you back in the trenches with them. Misery loves company, but more importantly, it loves validation. If you stay single and thrive, you prove that the trenches were optional all along. Let us talk about the invisible tax of the modern relationship. It is not just the money, though that is a significant part of the equation. It is the emotional labor. For decades, you were the shock absorber for everyone else's stress. You were the one who had to stay calm when she was upset. You were the one who had to fix the problems, even the ones you didn't cause. You became a professional at reading the temperature of a room before you even stepped inside. Was it a good day or a bad day? Do I need to apologize for something I don't even remember doing? That constant state of low-level vigilance is a poison to the male nervous system. And now that you have tasted life without it, you realize how heavy that weight actually was. You wake up and the house is quiet. There is no one to judge how you make your coffee. There is no one to ask why you are wearing that shirt or why you haven't fixed the fence yet. Your time belongs to you for the first time in perhaps 40 years. Society calls this a crisis. I call it a promotion. The math of the second marriage or the late-life relationship is almost always a net loss for the man. In your 60s, you are not looking for someone to build a future with in the same way you were at 25. The building phase is over. You have built your career, you have built your retirement, and you have built your character. When you enter the dating market now, you are bringing a lifetime of assets to the table. What is the other side bringing? Often, they are bringing a list of requirements. They want a man who is financially stable, which is a polite way of saying they want to secure their own retirement at your expense. They want a man who is emotionally available, which usually means someone who will absorb their baggage without complaint. They want you to audition for a role that offers very little return on your investment. Think about the modern dating app experience for a man of your age. You are competing with hundreds of others for the attention of women who often have not done the work to heal from their own pasts. They blame men for everything that went wrong in their lives and then expect you to pay the bill for it. You are 65 years old. You have proven your value to the world. Why are you auditioning for anyone? The dignity of your current life is worth more than the crumbs of companionship offered by someone who views you as a utility. Let us discuss the biological gift that no one talks about. The decline of testosterone is often presented as a medical problem to be solved, but for the man seeking peace, it is a superpower. When you were young, your hormones hijacked your logic. You stayed in bad relationships because your body demanded intimacy. You tolerated disrespect because you were driven by a biological urge to pursue. Now that urge has quieted. You can look at a woman and see her for who she actually is, not who your hormones want her to be. You can see the drama before it starts. You can hear the entitlement in her voice during the first coffee date, and because you are no longer a slave to your urges, you have the power to say no. You can choose a quiet evening with a book over a stressful night with a person who drains your energy. That is not bitterness. That is the ultimate form of self-respect. Your health is likely improving because the source of chronic stress has been removed. High blood pressure, poor sleep, and heart issues are often the physical manifestations of an unhappy home. Your body was keeping score of every argument you lost just to keep the peace. Now that the conflict is gone, your body can finally heal. You are not missing out on the great romance of the century. You are missing out on the manufactured crises of adult children who are not yours. You are missing out on the social obligations to people you don't even like. You are missing out on the surveillance of your phone and your whereabouts. Do you remember what it was like to feel guilty for being 20 minutes late coming home from work? Do you remember the honey-do list that never ended? That is gone now. You have traded a fantasy for a reality that actually serves you. Women often don't understand this choice because they view intimacy as the ultimate prize. They think you are broken because you aren't hunting for a partner. They think if they find the right way to present themselves, you will change your mind. But they are talking to a man who has already seen the movie. You know how it ends. You know that even the best relationship requires a surrender of a massive part of your autonomy, and you have decided that the price of admission is too high. You are not waiting for a unicorn. You have simply realized that even a perfect woman is still a person with needs, moods, and expectations, and you are officially retired from the business of meeting someone else's expectations. This is what ownership looks like. You own your mornings, you own your money, you own your silence. If you want to spend your entire weekend working on a project in the garage, you do it. If you want to eat steak 3 nights in a row, there is no one there to lecture you about your cholesterol. If you want to sit in total silence for 4 hours, that is your right. People will call this lonely because they cannot imagine a life without external validation. But you know the truth. Solitude is the place where you finally get to meet yourself. You are rediscovering the parts of you that were buried under decades of being a husband and a father. You are finding your own voice again, and that voice is telling you that you have done enough. You have paid your dues. You have protected, you have provided, and you have sacrificed. The final third of your life belongs to the man in the mirror. So when the world tells you that you are making a mistake, smile. They are judging you by a standard that no longer applies to you. They are trying to drag you back into the cage because your flight makes them feel grounded. You are not running from life, you are running towards it. A life of your own design, a life where your peace is the highest priority. A life where you are the captain of the ship and there are no stowaways complaining about the direction. The choice to die alone is not a morbid one. It is a commitment to die free. It is a commitment to remain the owner of your own soul until the very last breath. If that makes you a villain in someone else's story, let them write it. You are too busy enjoying the silence to read it anyway. You have earned this. Every dollar you have in the bank is yours. Every hour of your day is yours. Every square inch of your home is yours. Do not let anyone make you feel guilty for being the only person in the world who truly knows what your peace is worth. They will talk about the invisible tax of being single, the higher cost of living alone, the lack of a second income, the fear of having a medical emergency with no one there, but they forget to calculate the invisible tax of the alternative, the tax on your mental health. The tax on your longevity, the tax on your dignity. I would rather pay more for my mortgage and know that my home is a sanctuary than pay less and know that my home is a battlefield. I would rather walk myself to the hospital than live with someone who makes me want to be there. This is the logic of the modern elder man. It is a logic born of experience, not bitterness. It is the natural conclusion of a life spent observing the reality of human relationships. You have seen the divorces, you have seen the toxic compromises, you have seen the men who lost everything in their 50s and had to start over. You are the one who made it out with your sanity intact. Protect it like the treasure it is. The world will continue to push the narrative of the lonely old man. Let them. While they are busy feeling sorry for you, you will be busy living the most authentic version of your life. You are not a tragedy. You are a pioneer. You are showing the generations behind you that a man's value is not tied to his utility to a woman. You are showing them that peace is a valid destination, and that being alone is not a failure of character, but a triumph of wisdom. You remember the 25-year-old version of yourself? He was full of fire and desperation. He would have done anything for a smile from a pretty girl. He would have signed any contract just to feel a moment of belonging. Look at him with compassion, but do not let him drive the car anymore. He didn't know what you know. He hadn't felt the exhaustion of 20 years of being the rock that everyone else stood on until the rock started to crumble. He hadn't seen how quickly the teamwork disappears when the money gets tight or the health starts to fail. You are the wiser version of that man. And your wisdom has led you to this quiet room. This quiet room is the prize. It is the finish line of a marathon you didn't even realize you were running. So breathe in the silence. It is the sound of a life that no longer requires an apology. It is the sound of a man who has finally come home to himself. You are not wrong for walking away. You are not wrong for doing the math. You are simply finished with the game. And there is nothing more powerful than a man who has nothing left to prove to anyone. The next time you are sitting alone and that small voice of social conditioning tries to make you feel like you are missing out, ask yourself one question. What exactly am I missing? Am I missing the arguments? Am I missing the negotiations? Am I missing the subtle criticisms? Am I missing the financial drain? The answer will always be the same. You are missing nothing that is worth more than what you have right now. You have built an oasis. Don't let anyone convince you that it's a desert. You are the master of your own domain. You are the king of a country with a population of 1, and that is the only kingdom where the ruler is actually at peace. Society needs the myth of the lonely man to keep everyone else in line. Without that myth, the entire structure of modern dating and marriage would collapse under the weight of its own bad ROI. If men realized that being single at 65 was actually a luxury, they would stop settling for relationships that diminish them. You are the living proof that the myth is a lie. You are the evidence that freedom is better than companionship at any cost. So own your mornings. Savor your coffee in the silence. Watch the sunset without having to explain why you are quiet. Spend your money on the tools and the trips that make you feel alive. And when people ask you how you are doing, tell them the truth. Tell them you have never been better, because for the first time in your life, you are not living for a we. You are finally, gloriously living for a me, and that is not selfish. That is justice. That is the reward for a life well lived. Stay free. Stay at peace and never apologize for choosing yourself. The math is in your favor, the silence is your friend, and the rest of your life is yours to spend exactly as you see fit. You have earned every minute of it. Welcome to the oasis. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. The world can keep its drama. You will keep your peace. And that is the best deal a man will ever make.